Okay, I thought I should probably show you tube turners since I've said tube turners now, and I know people who aren't doll makers don't know tube turners. As I drop them on the floor, scare the dogs. These are brass from Cloth Doll Supply. It's a 5-inch tiny turn-it brass tool set. There's 4 in the set, ideal for turning longer fingers and extremities. And so you have a solid piece, no hole, and then you have, or I have actually 2 solid pieces without holes, and then you have 2 tubes with holes. So obviously the bigger solid piece goes in the wider tube, and the narrow piece goes in the narrow one. And what you can do is, let's see, I think I can use the bigger one. Getting a crash course here, people, in doll making. I don't know if anybody cares. Let me know in your comments if you're finding it interesting. Now I put the tube with the opening up into the finger, and it's the bigger tube. And I'm going to try, maybe I'll have to use the little smaller tube. I may have to use my plastic set. Okay, that is not going to work. At least not. This is just a little too bulky. Let's see. Let's see if this one will work. I also have a plastic set. They look like straws, but they have metal pieces that go down inside of them. Oh, I think my straw is too wide to fit. Oh, it'll fit in that finger. And that piece of wire. Well, I think I'm going to use this brass one because it's just firmer. You know what? I think I'm doing this backwards. It's been so long since I've done it. Please excuse me. I know. Let's read the directions. It's been a long time. No, I'm doing it right. All right. Well, this one will fit inside the pinky. The other fingers are a little too narrow. So let's put it up there. And then it shows this just working its way. I think you're actually using the tube to push over the rod more than you're using the rod to push into the tube. So I think you're pushing the finger. I'm sorry. There's just no good way to show this. But you're using the straw to actually push the fabric up around the tube. Alright, let me see. Is that far enough that I can push it down? Yep. Okay, so that one's in. I'm going to take this bigger brass hollow rod and put that inside and go to the next finger. Believe it or not, I like making hands. I must like the challenge, I suppose. I don't know. Nope, that's not a tube. What did I do? Is the wrong one? Nope, I didn't. Okay. Alright, let me put that there. Let's see if we can push the fabric up over close. Yep. Okay, gotta go. See ya. Okay, I'm on the last finger. My daughter came home from work. The dogs went nuts. She would have thought we were being attacked by the ravening hordes. Just getting this last one pushed in. And then what I do, I get the rod out of the inside. And then I take my hemostats and I put them back into the opening. And I grab all those little fingers, well, not all of them, one will do, and turn this whole arm hopefully my fingers will work. Let's see. Sometimes you have to coax it because it all has to fit back inside itself. And the arm isn't all one width. I kind of made it with a little bit of, I don't know, what would you call that? A little bit of curves and, you know, arm type shapes. Okay, here we come, here we come. I'm gonna see finger. Okay, I got the arm straightened out. Let's see. All right, so, and that's how you turn a hand right side out. I'll take this longer. Usually what I use is a barbecue skewer, because most of them are pretty blunt. And I'll go back inside and just run this back up, straightening out the fingers. Well, maybe straightening out the fingers. Yes, straightening out fingers. There we go. Okay, so I'll be back when I get further along. Okay, well, I'm probably going to move ahead. I'm going to put this little orange paper down here. That's what the hand looks like. Fingers are a little bit wonky, but that's okay. They'll straighten out as we finish. What I wanted to show you was when I wire, sometimes I'll use regular, like 16 gauge or 18 gauge wire, and then I wrap floral tape around it to keep it from getting too dirty inside the fingers or from slipping. It gives the stuffing a little bit of extra to grip onto inside the finger. But what's better to use this is a chenille stem. And if you're doing a bigger doll with bigger fingers, you can make a chenille stem and twist it, you know, cut it down, whatever you need to do. But for smaller dolls, what I like to use, I mean, when I was a kid, we called these pipe cleaners. They're chenille stems. This is actually a pipe cleaner. It's a little bit smaller. I think I actually got this in a smoking section of a store. And it's a pipe cleaner. It's a little bit narrower, you know, skinnier than this. You can kind of see the difference there. So what I'm going to use for her hand are these. Now I wouldn't use the open cut end of the wire because that would probably just, even with the fuzz on the outside, would just poke through the end of the finger. What I will do is I'll fold this in half and twist it, and then I will do 4 of them and kind of hook them together, and then these will go into the fingers, and I'll maybe hook the 4 of these and 1 for the thumb into, okay, never mind, I can't explain it, I might as well show it. We'll take and we'll bend 5 of these. Here's 4. Here's 5. Okay, so then these kind of all need to go together at the bottom, the base. Generally, you would like twist one of them at a time. And then this is going to be the pinky, the ring finger. Actually, this one could be the thumb because it's short after it twisted everything. So you got 4 fingers and a thumb. Then you want to be able to get it back up the wrist. So maybe we'll use the chenille stem and wrap around this group. Just like that. And then take some of this tape, and I'm winging it right now. We'll see if it fits. This is floral tape, so you stretch it and you turn it and it sticks to itself. Okay, and I'm just going to come back over the wrapped end. Okay, we're going to see if we can get this to go into that hand, because I don't know that it'll go in. Remember, I've got to stuff it back down the shank of the arm. Tear that off. Okay, so let's put all this together. I should have left the top of the arm open. Ah, well. We're going to turn that over like a cuff, so I can get this back down. Okay, so my next arm, I'm not going to turn all the way out. I'm just going to turn the hand out. I'm going to leave the arm somewhat let's see. I'm going to go back into the arm. You may have to actually fast forward this a little to make it work, because this might be way too much information. Anyway, you want to get this, get your thumb here. One of those will have to be the thumb. But we're going to be flying blind. Which side's my thumb on? That side. Okay. I'm going to push this down into the opening of the fabric. Remember, these pipe cleaners aren't very stiff. So, and chenille stems really aren't stiff. So they're not going to be any help getting things inside of this arm. Okay, we're getting there. It's coming. Right now, as you start to get down here, like my wires are right there, the tips of them. The thumb one is over here. So I want to start with that one and actually get the thumb onto that wire. There. And then I got to find the next wire, which of course is hung up over here somewhere, and get it over here for this finger. Trying to do this and make sure that I'm still in a frame where you can at least see a little bit of what I'm doing. Okay, then I gotta find that next wire. It's in there somewhere. And get that headed into that finger. Okay. Now I have 2 more wires. So I'll get that one going into there, and then the other one is over here. Okay, so let's see what we can do. I should be playing music. Maybe I will play music. Although if I play music, you really will have no clue as to what I'm doing. Put my hemostats down there. It's not even as easy as putting on a pair of gloves on a kid. Because this doll can't help me. Although, it's getting there. It is getting there. Okay. The wires are in. And believe it or not, we're going to try to stuff a little bit down in here too. Okay, so you have a thumb, you have a finger, you have another finger, you have another finger, and you have a pinky. And they are articulated and they will hold things. And then I will put poly stuffing, polyfill, doll stuffing in around the wire. And then the opening will get sewn shut, and then that gets sewn onto the body, and she will have an arm. Pretty cool. Okay. Talk to you later. Still June 6th. Okay, now here's something else in a little bit. This finger is too narrow, and I've been fighting with it, and I'm actually fraying some of the stuff because I'm fighting it. So what I did was I took a long dowel needle, and I put some waxed cord on it. This is just because this is what I had in my doll sewing kit, and it's this artificial sinew from the Tandy Leather Factory. I've had that in there for years. I put a knot on the end of it, a fairly good sized knot. I'm going to take a little bit of a stitch through one of the pinked edges for the seam allowance. And I'm going to pull that knot up. Now I'm going to take that needle. I'm going to make sure the needle will fit back through your tube. Because if the needle won't fit back through the tube, it's kind of a waste of effort. Because you don't want that needle to get stuck in your fabric either. So I just pulled it back out through. You can see the tube is coming with it. But now the finger, I'm going to get this out of here. Don't even need the needle on it anymore, because now I'm going to pull it right side out using this thread. And keep a grip on it. Probably should have left the tube in there to help me. Yep, I should have left the tube. So you should have left the tube. Dog is sitting here looking at me like I'm a crazy person. And I am a crazy person. I've been talking to myself all day. That must be a crazy person. I keep thinking somebody's here because I'm talking to myself. Shake it a little bit, see if I can get it. There it goes. Okay, so now I'm going to thread the tube back up. I should have left it in there to begin with. This is the bigger tube, but it won't fit up into that finger. But now it has a thread coming through, so it should help this fabric pull through. And then again, maybe not. I'm struggling with this one. Thank goodness for thread and paint. That's all I can say. Okay, so I'm going to continue struggling with this and get that finished, and I'll be back. Hi, this is, let's see, what is today? Excuse me. Today is Thursday, and it is June 8th. And it's still the morning, and I thought I had actually started to do some of the stuffing, and then I thought that this was something that maybe I should share. So this is the witch's head, and as you can see, I've already got the chin going and the nose, and this is her neck, and the neck is really narrow. And when you stuff, you take this batting, and it doesn't matter what loft the batting says it is. You take a piece and then you loft it by pulling it apart before you stuff, and that's how you kind of prevent, for the most part, your doll having cellulite. But anyway, what I wanted to do before I get too far in the stuffing of her head is to twist up, and I've decided to use chenille stem to twist up wire for the neck. I don't usually use chenille stem. Usually what I use is a 16 or 18 gauge baling wire, which is why I'm twisting this, to make it a little bit firmer. I have wire, but I thought this would be cleaner. And it's a small doll, so it doesn't have to be too terribly big. A bigger doll, I would definitely use baling wire because it would hold it stiffer. But then this is a doll that's going to sit properly, so she won't be too stiff. Oops. So anyway, there's a wire. It's one time. Now I just want to try it and see how it fits in here. Doll making can be kind of fiddly, especially when you make your openings too small. And this opening, well, actually isn't that small. So the chenille stem fits up through the neck opening, and this will go down into the body, and then I'll stitch around the neck, and it'll all hold together that way. So that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to go into my floral tape and just put a little floral tape around this, usually where the ends are, where the wire is pokey. I double it over, kind of like that, so it makes a little hook. And you can use pliers to do this. You don't need to use hemostats. It just happens to be what I have in my hand. And you don't need fancy things to stuff. You don't need hemostats. You can use your hands. You can use a barbecue skewer. You can use a pencil with it. You know, the eraser. The eraser end of a pencil works good to poke stuffing in. I mean, I've used all kinds of things. It's just over the years I've collected all these tools. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that part that I just twisted down. I was going to put some, I'm still going to put some floral tape on the end just to make sure nothing is too pokey. I'm not going to put floral tape on the whole thing because I do want the stuffing will grab better actually onto the chenille stem fibers. And I'm stretching the floral tape as I go, and that makes it stick to itself, and it makes kind of a nice little clean end, no pokey wires. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other end while I have my floral tape right here. Okay. So it's actually a nice, beautiful day. The sun is shining very brightly. Yesterday I didn't do any crafting. I went out and I did a whole lot of weed whacking, which is taking a trimmer and going up into what kind of got to be overgrown grassy area on my hill. And I did a lot of that. And then I had to plant some plants that, because of all the rain, I had bought and then couldn't get them in the ground. So needless to say, I was pretty tired, and my hands and everything hurt yesterday. But this morning, I don't feel like doing any of that. I may go out and mow a little bit later. But it's still relatively early. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I've done my partial stuffing here. I got my chin pretty well firmed up. I'm going to use this bodkin. It's like what you draw elastic through a casing with. It has like a needle eye on one end, and it has a ball stylus on the other. I find this handy for lots of things. I've even made clay doll fingernails using this as an impression. Works very well. But I'm going to use that needle eye end, and you can do this with anything. Just this happens to be the tool I have handy right now, and it's nice and stiff and small. And I'm just going in and pushing that fiber fill back into that nose and chin. Okay, now I'm going to reloft my fiber fill, and then I'm going to take a piece of it and we'll put it on my hemostat, and try to get my neck opening, or my head opening. This is actually the top of the head that you're looking at now. I left that open for stuffing. And bigger doll would have a bigger opening, and I probably wouldn't struggle as much as I am. There's that. It takes a lot of fiber fill. I mean, it might be a small doll, but these little areas hold a lot of this fluff. Okay, now I want to keep it so this piece, the chenille stem, I have it kind of up towards the top of the head right now. I don't want it this high, but what I want to do is I want to make sure that I get fiber fill all the way around it. So I'm going to, that's too big a piece. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to try to put it down the back of the head. Now I'll take the other piece and put it on, doing it towards the bottom side of the head. And then I'm going to flip her over and try to push that chenille stem back to the other side. And I'm going to take this last piece that I have lofted and I'm going to put it on this side. I'm going to try to. Yep, that worked. So she's starting to have a profile. And that's a nose, and that's going to be her chin. Very pointy witch. In my mind, witches are pointy. And like I said, this takes a lot of fiber fill. One thing I do want to try to be careful of is that I don't dislodge. Can't talk either today. This is too big a piece. If you're struggling, make it a smaller piece. It's not a race, and it takes time to stuff. I think it's probably one of the most time-consuming prep things, because I mean, building the doll is making the base. It's a blank. And then it's when you get to if you paint, like I'm going to paint this one, and then pick the fabrics and stuff. That's the fun part. That generally takes a while too. So the doll making process isn't quick. I guess it can be. Depends on the level of detail or the number of steps you want to put into making a doll. I mean, you can make a goddess doll that's just pretty much a blank doll made of fabric. You know, all one piece. Kind of looks like a gingerbread man. I've made those. Those are fun. So you can make them in different colors for moods. Can stamp on them. I mean with rubber stamps, not your foot. Although, yeah, I guess if you were frustrated and you got it, like for a damn it doll, you could stomp on it with your foot. That sound is my phone notifications going off. I had the dogs out earlier, so everybody's asleep right now because they're tired out. I think Vixen's out in the other room though, so you may not hear any snoring. She's my snorer. And she snores a lot. And loud. Sounds like a tank. So anyway, I'm just going to continue stuffing this. There really isn't much more I can tell you. I'm going to try to stuff it full enough that all these puckers that you can see back here go away. She will have a mohair wig, and she will have a witch's hat. You can't have a witch without a witch's hat. At least I can't. But I want the head to be firm enough that it holds its shape and it doesn't, you know, sag or break down over time. My problem is I have arthritis, and sometimes this gets a little painful because there is a lot of pushing and shoving involved, and this stuff can be pretty unrelenting. It fights back. It wants to say, I don't fit, and I want to say, yes, you do, get in there. Right now I'm fighting because the wire is towards the back of the head, and I don't want it near the fabric. I want it surrounded by polyfill. And that's what I'm doing right now with the polyfills. I am pushing it. Oops. Throwing my head around. So this part I have to ladder stitch shut. Once I finish, I will ladder stitch the top of the head closed. But I think that she's looking pretty good. I'm just going to put some more polyfill, I think, around the ridge of her head. And maybe some more towards the back. And then her head will be ready. And then I'm going to continue on. This hand looks pretty gruesome, but I had a very hard time getting the wire into these fingers. If I sigh, it's because I'm remembering my struggle. I only had one blowout, which I had to rebuild the finger, and it was this finger. I just had to darn it to fix it. And it's fine, because all of this will be painted, and she will have witchy hands. But I have to put polyfill all down in here, and you curl the fingers like this until you get them stuffed, because that way the wires don't work their way back out of the fingers. And she does have two hands. Of course, with this one, the fingers will bend this way so that her hands go in the right directions. Can't have them both go the same way. That doesn't work. The thumbs have to both be on the top. Right hand, left hand. Right hand looks a lot better because I really fought with this left hand. Or right hand, depends how it winds up when I'm finished. And then these are her legs. I don't believe I'm going to wire her legs. They're just going to be stuffed. But I'll show you that when I get to it, and I'll show you a way that you can joint it so if she wants to sit on a shelf, her legs can dangle down, or she can sit with her legs out straight. And then I will stuff the body, and then we'll be putting it all together. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. And that was one thing I did forget to say, is you want to make sure that you have enough polyfill in the head, because I'm going to be needle sculpting features, and you have to have enough polyfill to make the thread work in the needle felting, because it gives loft to the different features too. Just wanted to put that out there. Okay, well, I've done a little bit more. I think I have the head about where I want it. It's kind of an ongoing process until I sew it up. And you can see she has a bit of a brow, which I was aiming for. Her nose, and then that big old pointy chin. And I finished one of the stuffing the lower part of one of the legs, because when it sews into the body, and the neck is up here, so this is the bottom, this is the hips, the legs will actually sew into the bottom of the witch, and that way the legs can dangle or sit out straight. So that'll be cool. And I'm going to start stuffing the hands, and I did go and get my smaller pair of hemostats, but they're actually kind of too short to stuff these little fingers with. So I will get them started, and I will come back and show you my progress. Be back. Okay, well, I'm moving right along. You knew the head was done. I now have both of the bottoms of the legs stuffed and the knees sewn, and both of the arms and the hands are stuffed. And I've started stuffing the body, but I wanted to show you that I do have this wire, or not wire, well, it is, chenille stem that has to go in here. So what I did was I pushed one of my wooden dowel, because it's not really a skewer as much as it is it's more of a, almost a 1/4 inch dowel that has a point on the other end, through from the neck, so that there will be an opening that I can slide that chenille stem into, because it's a pretty flimsy thing and it wouldn't be able to poke through the fiberfill once it's stuffed in there tight enough. And I also wanted to say, and I don't think I've said this, like for the toe of the shoe, what happens is sometimes you have like empty spots that you can't get into to fill that well. So if you take a pin and you just poke through the fabric, in this case muslin, you kind of grab a chunk of the polyfill and you can kind of move it around so that it fills in and it closes up any open spaces that you might have. And it doesn't really show that you did anything. Just a tip. Okay, I'll go back to work.